Welcome to the Cosmic Awakening Show. My name is Michelle Walling, and I'm here today with Rob Gauthier, who is a speaker at our conference coming up in Detroit, Michigan. And what I wanted to do is give you a little sneak preview about what Rob is going to be bringing to the live Detroit Cosmic Awakening Show recording, where I'm going to interview four wonderful people in front of a live audience. So, Rob, welcome. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be a part of this event and a part of this energy. It's going to be amazing.
It is, and I'm not sure what's going on with our connection. Perhaps it's your high vibration. A lot of times that does affect the connection. But I'm just going to ask Spirit that we get a really good connection to try to, explain to people what you're all about. Now, you channel a conglomerate of beings, but two of the beings that I know of most are Treb and Aridif. Did I say their names right?
Yeah, that's perfect. Some people say Aridif, some people say Aridif. He
Aridif.
does both.
Well, now, you're also a radio show host, and you have that information on your website, etwhisperer.com. You're considered a metaphysical teacher, and you do private sessions with people where you can bring through these beings that you channel, these the conglomerate beings, I would say, and bring through higher information that will help people get on their highest and best path, maybe to find out what they're here to do and how they can best serve humanity, and help them get through some stuck areas in their life as well that maybe they can't see from this perspective on how to get out of. And I know what's interesting and exciting about our show that we're having in Detroit is that I'm leaving plenty of time at the end for people to ask personal questions. And I think that is the most important part of the conferences that I have, are the audience participation. And so I'm really excited about that. Now we're going to bring Aridif through here in a little while, but first I'm going to give you a few moments, if you would please, to explain anything about yourself that the listeners and viewers or the people coming to our show need to know about yourself and about the beings that you channel.
Absolutely. Well, I'm just an average everyday guy, and I went through a metaphysical path, a spiritual path, and it started from a really bad disconnection, depression, and it ended up taking me to a place to learn meditation. And after a couple of years of meditating every day, all the time, I ended up meeting Treb, which is my first guide. Me and him worked together after I learned how to connect with him in meditation for about 2 years. I spent 2 years with him with a very skeptical human mind saying, hey, I need to know about this and that and this. And I had to question this new thing, because at first when I met him, I thought I kind of went crazy, which was very shocking. But I went through that whole 2 years asking and learning. Finally, the information he shared with me was something that I felt so important that I wanted to share with others. So I worked with him. He taught me how to channel his energy verbally and how to bring it forward for other people to learn. And after I did that for a while, I spent 2 years doing it for free for people who just wanted to know what was going on or have a session, reflecting from their parts of personal life. We went through, and that's when I met Aridif. And since then, I've worked with Aridif now for regularly over 3 years, probably closer to 4, and that's been even more amazing, even more detailed. And the beings are amazing, but they're also kind of a connection process through my own self. And a lot of people say, well, you're bringing these beings in, stuff like that. But what I found out is they're really aspects of myself in a different way. They're kind of different parts of me throughout the soul. And it's a little complex and a little long-winded to get into that. But that's basically the nuts and bolts. So now I share information. I share meditation techniques that I've learned along the way. I had to teach myself, teach other people to channel, teach people just how to find the answers in themselves. And when I channel, Aridif and Treb help reflect that information back to them. So
Well, and that's what I really resonate with, and that's what I'm all about is encouraging people to learn how to find the information within themselves, but sometimes they just need a little bit of confirmation. I think confirmation is a huge thing when we begin to channel our higher self and help other people. I do the same thing in my sessions as well. You know, basically, I don't have a name of the conglomerate that I bring in, but it's different though because can you actually hear the voice, or do they actually step into your body?
When I'm channeling, I'm not experiencing the connection to that being per se. Like when I'm channeling, what I'm doing is the same thing I did for 2 years before I started channeling. I go into a deep, deep trance. So when I'm channeling and you're experiencing that being, I'm sitting with Treb and talking with Treb on an astral projected state. So sometimes I've been on his planet, in his ship, just in different places completely, just talking and co-creating a dialogue. And now it used to be very profound, deeply spiritual stuff, but now I consider him a friend, so it's just like sitting with a friend. It's very weird to try to explain it, but it's basically like an old friend just sitting around hanging out like you do with your friend at home. So
Cool.
it's more can do a different thing.
Yeah. Well, and there's been a campaign of, let's just call them the forces that don't want us to ascend, to bring out bad information about channeling. And this is a really good example of how you've really got to go within on your own discernment and decide whether something feels right and sounds right to you. I mean, for example, Brad Johnson is someone a channeler that I had at our Seattle Lifting the Veil conference here this year, and it was a huge success, and everything that Adronis says really rings true, and there's some valuable information to help us. And they don't tell us what to do, but they give us the highest and best probability or suggestions and information that perhaps we're not tapping into, but that it teaches us that we can tap into that high level information. And but you've had this ability. I mean, you've been discerning like since you were a child. It's not like you have to sit there and say, who am I talking to, the good guy or the bad guy? This has been with you your whole life. So how did it come about, as a child, for so long? You just had, okay, let me rephrase the question. The question most people want to know is, how come Rob's able to do this and I'm not? You were basically born with it. You knew that's what you were going to do. And most people say, well, anybody can have psychic abilities and learn how to do this. But truly, you were born with it.
I experienced a lot of stuff when I was a child that was psychic energy, like meeting my grandmother who passed. But as a child, I didn't recognize it for what it was. I was always told it's a dream, don't worry about it, it's not real, it's in your head. And I kind of disassociated myself from it, from that younger preteen age. And all the way through my 20s, through my depression, I had a son who was born with severe handicap, cerebral palsy. He doesn't walk, talk, eat, he's bathed, all those things. So that put me into that depression. Coming back into my depression, it kind of slammed in full force, so I was forced to deal with that. And then reflecting back into my childhood in those younger years, then I saw that it had been a lifelong thing, and I disconnected myself from myself for so long. That's why all those years went without me experiencing it. So it was a newer thing, and I do believe people can learn to channel, even if they're not born with that gift. I've had a lot of people who've come to me work with that part of their energy and have been able to better hone in their instincts and intuition. But altogether, it's a personal journey, and it's a personal internal energy. And that's one thing when you were saying about channeling and a lot of people concerned about that, I totally understand that. And I've always tried to share that with other people too. Don't just listen to anything. Channeling, not another person's teaching, nothing. You've got to use your own discernment. Me as a channeler, I'm a human being. You can see it by my additional weight. You can see it by sometimes having a hurt leg like I do. So I live that life just like everyone else. And when humans are using themselves as an instrument, there's always room for error. So I always tell people when dealing with channel material, because it's a two-way street, not just an entity speaking through you, but an entity and that human co-creating to send the message, then listen to what sounds right and resonates with you. If someone channeling a being is telling you, you have to do this, you have to do that, your life is worthless without doing what I say, then a lot of the humans in that channeling, unless the entity or the entity not always such a great being, but if they're telling you to find answers within and here's a way that might be better to look at things, but do what you need to, do what you choose in your free will, those entities are more in alignment with that human, and or the channeler is more in tune with the being. So you have to use your discernment with everything, not just channeling, but with channeling too. That worry in people's hearts and minds. I mean that completely.
Well, I really look forward to asking some questions at the conference on everyone else's behalf. I have some very special questions. As most people know, I come up with the best questions that everybody wants to know the answers to. So, but what I'd like to do today is just give a brief example of who we're going to be talking to. So I'm going to give you a few moments, unless there's anything else that you'd like to say in introduction, to get into your space.
Yeah, I'll bring Aridif in today. He's the one that I bring in more than any other being lately. He's a sixth density being from the star Deneb. So we call him Denebian or ancient Pleaidian because that's where their race originated from. But he is a very high-level energy and high-level wisdom person. He is definitely in alignment with some of the great wisdom. You said you had Brad Johnson at your other. Me and him have known each other a long time, good friends. He's an amazing channeler. So I like to say that if you've Patronus, and you can prepare yourself for the Aridif because it's high-level, intense, in-depth information. So that's what I'll bring forward.
He does go into very deep levels and very detailed. It's very impressive, and it's non-nonsense. It's like true information. So, okay, I'm going to give you a few minutes, and we'll be right back, folks.
Greetings, selves, Aridif. That is Aridif, and this is expelled. We understand there are many queries for this day that you wish to dive into, but before diving into those queries, we must express two things. First, above and beyond all things, in our own perspective, to know, to feel, to perceive that you are loved. It is again in our highest perception that this idea is expressed. Secondly, we wish to express to you also that it is of our gracious excitement to co-create with you in this day. You may begin your queries at your leisure.
Thank you so much for being with me today, and in advance for coming to be the star of our show in Detroit, Michigan, where Rob is going to bring you through to a live audience to be able to ask them to be able to ask questions to you. So what I'd like to do today is I'm giving people a little brief introduction on what it's like to talk to you. And so I've selected a few questions that I think that they would like to know, as well as I may ask a few personal questions as well while I have you here.
Yes, we're ready and excited for this.
Thank you. The first question I'd like to ask is a pretty broad question, but it has come to our understanding, meaning the starseeds here on Earth, just recently, that not only are we shifting to a new Earth in a fifth dimensional frequency, but that some of us as multi-dimensional starseeds are actually creating a whole 12th dimensional universe. Could you give me a brief understanding of what, if that is true, and if so, what that is like, or what we need to know about the 12D universe?
Yes, first of all, each and every human consciousness is going through the evolution of the consciousness from the area that you would call third density to fourth density. This means that each and every one of you are growing towards a place of exploration of yourself, to a place that explores both your heart and connections. And we do not mean connections only from yourself to others, but from yourselves to your thoughts, from yourself to your emotions, from yourself to all of the things and actions that you take in each day. So in that way, each and every human is growing into their own. Some humans in this lifetime are going forward into the expression of the full fourth-density consciousness. Right now, the majority are going back and forth in moments of great excitement and alignment. That is why many of you are experiencing the in-depth process of opening your third eye, of perceiving higher dimensional energies, of going through an experience where linear time is no longer necessary. Many of you are exploring that ascension process within yourselves. Now, for the majority of those humans who are going through that experience, there is always an experience of building higher dimensional entire universes, entire matrices, and instructions in those matrices are built within the 12 portion DNA within each and every human. Building that is done upon multiple levels, not just your lower fractal consciousness, your day-to-day self, but the innermost deep parts of your higher fractalized consciousness, your oversoul, all of the oversouls in the collective consciousness and the twin soul that connect them. When you are looking at your own oversoul, you see that there are many incarnations, both future and past, and in all of the oversouls in Earth there are 144,000 combined. Each of those carries twin souls, and those parts are the parts of your own consciousness that are manifestations of what changes occur. Your free will dictates what goes through your actions into your next part of your experience. After you are able to change your vibration into the reality that you desire, many of you are here to create. Many of those star seeds who are ascending are choosing to utilize the twin soul and create the construct of new consciousness, either in other worlds or other universes altogether. That creation is conscious to very few of you, but it is unconscious even to those who have not explored the depths of their own consciousness, and that most humans would perceive them to be extremely low vibrationally. The entire Earth collective consciousness is manifesting their fourth entity Earth version as we speak.
Thank you for that complete answer. And there are a lot of us who do consider ourselves as being multidimensional and doing the work to try to change the reality that we are in at this moment. And we have heard much about what is called by some the event, or a probable shift in our reality so that we can all experience reality in a higher vibrational state, to where we do not have some of the lower vibrational challenges that we are experiencing right now. Can you give us an idea about how this shift will feel, look, seem, act, how we will experience this? Some have said that we will be showered or with a wave of white, bright, brilliant light, and that in one moment our reality will indeed change, and we will magnetize towards that vibrational frequency that we carry and be moved out. But we are just trying to put human words on something that number one has already happened, number two that we're here to experience. So can you give us a little bit of preview as to what to look forward to?
Yes, first of all, we must express that for every one of you individually, this event will occur in quite a different way. And what we mean by that most specifically is the Earth collective consciousness is not just a bunch of souls that are playing together upon one playground, although that is the experience in the smaller perspective. In the bigger perspective, each and every one of you individually are creating your own experience. The twin soul mechanism that we spoke of previously is the one that carries you into the version of reality that you desire to be within. And what this means is that there are truly an infinite amounts of realities that can occur for each and every one of you. your decisions, your beliefs, your actions, your motivations, and the strengths and weaknesses of your own mind and heart are what determines the place and where you reside, or what you desire to manifest, to come to fruition. Therefore, those of you who are excited to make a great shift but do not have a great deal of resistance about the shift process, or if you are good enough to shift, will have that experience of one large shift, and it can occur in the same way that you are speaking. Others of you will make a shift throughout the entirety of the rest of this incarnation, slowly and steadily going towards a place with less and less resistance. Some of you will not experience this at all. It is not just for those who have the greatest or highest vibration to experience the shift. It is those who are open to the experience of shifting and open to the possibilities and probabilities of its own occurrence. When you are open and you are not carrying resistance on the energy of how to, you will experience that energy in a much quicker state. When we express this from the perspective that each and every one of you are going through evolution, not just of your persona or your persons, your lower fractal consciousness. You are going through the evolution as a state of a soul in a larger part of the oversoul. And in your own fractal consciousness, if you were to experience linear time, you would evolve in each of your lifetimes, each of those incarnations taking you one step further. Right now, going out of the third density into the fourth density, maybe you will experience that shift where everything starts making sense. Everything is your own manifestational qualities, and you will experience less resistance. Some of you who are open to the possibility, who have incarnated into Earth from another system altogether, those that are perceived as star seeds, can experience this shift in a more instantaneous fashion. Those entities are not going to a separate version of Earth. You are all going to your own version of Earth and co-creating with those souls who are in a similar vibration frequency. So even those entities that are walking upon the streets thinking of hurting others separate from their own heart can experience a co-creation with someone who is pacifist, who only loves, who sees its connection with all it is. But the experience of the individual and how they shift into their new reality is completely within their own doing and structure.
That's very complete and exactly what I just told my client in a session the hour before this. So that's beautiful. In order to understand, if we were a starseed that is going to shift as a small collective instantly into a whole new place, or maybe even go back to where we came from, and the people who are still here on Earth that aren't going to make that kind of a leap of a shift, would it be as if we left a copy of ourself or a program running here to help them finish out the rest of their life or the rest of their shift? Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes sense completely, and again this answer will be slightly different for each of you experience. Some of you who transition in that way to go to their new experience, they will co-create, those that are in the Earth that you are aware of in this moment, will co-create with a version of you that they have manifested in order to help them create their experience. This will be their own personal version of the twin soul that they called in for themselves. Others will experience the version where your physical body dies and you leave the physical earth altogether. Others will experience an entire loss of your personage. That means that one moment they can be speaking to you, the next you are completely vanishing from sight. This does not depend on the person leaving as much as it does the entity who is behind, who is still co-creating. Their own personal decision, their own personal beliefs, and their own personal desire to manifest a co-creation with you will give them the version of you that they are creating to co-create with, if this makes sense to you.
Absolutely, and fascinating as well. And thank you for that complete answer. Okay, so
Yes.
we're going to dive more into that at the live Detroit Cosmic Awakening show taping, and I would like to ask you a few personal questions while I have you here. Begins with, I just returned from a trip to Europe where I visited the Bosnian pyramid complex. What role do the Bosnian pyramids play in Earth's ascension and humanity's ascension, and how did it affect me, or what did I take from the experience of being in Bosnia that you can see?
Yes, first of all, those pyramids specifically are in alignment with the majority of those other megaliths or monoliths that are created around the Earth collective consciousness. Many of those that are perceived as extraterrestrial in your perspective helped co-create with versions of Earth experiencers or human beings that are incarnated in order to give the living energy a more temporal and perhaps, as you would see it, tangible area of collection for energy that is redistributed throughout the grid. That is why you see all of these locations in very specific natured areas, and you see them all running on certain lines, certain latitudes and longitudes within your Earth collective. That specific area is one that goes along what we would call a secondary ley line, one that creates and generates a great deal of energy, of the etheric nature of human consciousness, but also the Earth collective itself, that redistributes the energy out to millions of humans that live within that localized area. That is specifically in the area of what you would call the third eye chakra version of energy for the Earth collective. Just as humans carry chakra energy, the Earth collective carries that similar energy. That is third eye energy. When you yourself visited that area, you were co-creating an experience for your own internal and external expansion. That internal energetic expansion gave you the opportunity to open more of your energy placements, your chakra systems, releasing a great deal of resistance within you. But externally, when you are perceiving it, your physical body interacted to also work within your DNA. That DNA starts becoming enhanced and starts activating upon the crystalline version of human consciousness. Many humans utilize these portions, or these, perhaps as you would see it, we are searching for the word. They are symbols, but they are ones that are represented from other parts and consciousnesses. But these specific symbols that you are co-creating with are often used for human consciousness to co-create with. But it is not that specific area that did that energy with your own self, of the crystalline substance in your DNA. It is the manifestation of your own internal desire, but also the co-creation with that ley line. Your energy itself is that creates a grid working system. You yourself are anchored into the grid system and are amongst the collective that is called grid workers. By being in proximity to that large of an energy in the grid system, it affected your physical and non-physical energy.
Beautiful, thank you.
Yes.
I myself have a sister who is mentally, well, been described as mentally challenged, but is unable to live by herself, as well as, many people who have autistic children and people who need care all of the time. And my question is, I understand that these people who incarnated here to have this experience are having this experience for several different reasons. Sometimes to give other people lessons or to show them unconditional love. Sometimes they were just victims of vaccines and programming that happened to unfold and cause this issue. Will there be a time where there will be healing, whether it be instant healing or technology in our lifetime, where we will be able to make those people, help them to pull out of that and be more like a normal human, if that's a way to put it?
first of all, each and every one of the entities upon the Earth Collective in this moment that are going through what most humans call a disability of one sort or another have done so contractually, have done so from their own soul's desire to experience this. And we know this is very difficult for many humans to understand, as it is a suffering in some cases, or a perspective of not being able to be well. But the soul requires experiences of all sorts, not only to be murdered, not only to be a child, but to be a parent. All of these roles, each of your souls must experience this once. In that role specifically, these entities are being conduits for learning, conduits for co-creative mechanisms, but more so conduits for open hearts and love, acceptance, what most humans call empathy and sympathy. So those entities are working in their role. The majority of the beings who are upon Earth now will not choose, at least in the next 15 years, to co-create an experience of instantaneous healing. They will continue their contractual energy. Some of those entities will break that contractual energy that their soul has required to experience, but only do so from a place of also teaching about that one certain illness or unwellness, as most humans see it. When that occurs, those entities will teach others that any illness can be cured, that any of these symptoms can be manifested towards wellness, and that is the part they play in that co-creation. Some of these entities will leave the physical earth, just as those who appear to have ascended will succumb to their illnesses.
Interesting, interesting. Thank you so much for that. I think that's going to help a lot of people. Okay, so the final question I have is, I feel great. I feel physically, I don't like everything is good. I'm beginning to do exercise. I'm watching what I eat. The only issue I'm having right now is there seems to be this flap inside of the esophagus that when I swallow air and it gets stuck in my stomach area, it pushes up against this flap and causes it to close, not allowing me to swallow water sometimes or food. What can I do to alleviate this? I understand it's going to help me to lose weight by not being able to eat, but I do need to be able to drink water, and I would like to enjoy my food.
You understand. Now, we are not able to see the physical layers of yourself. We see several thousand layers as they interact, and this gives us an idea of what your energy is in the physical nature. What we can do is the energy behind the cause of that energy. Working on the emotional state is always what helps allow your physical self to a higher degree. So we can tell you a great deal of things, most of them which you're already aware. The part of yourself that has had problems before in your past, even sometimes in your now moment of expressing the certain depth and nature of your excitement or lack of excitement when it comes to certain situations, the energy of looking into wisdom and judging certain versions of wisdom, the ones that are not resonant to you, all of those things stay within your emotional, energetic nature of the throat chakra. Working with those things and on those things will help you a great deal, knowing that it is acceptable to speak your truth, knowing that when wisdom comes into your vision or sight that does not resonate with you, instead of judging it, only set it to the side as which is not resonant. And if you are doing those things in general, the energy around the throat chakra will alleviate, which means that it will help the physical portion of this energy, would never come into contact with human consciousness to this date that has experienced the physical nature of the throat area in which you are expressing. But we do know that each and every human that works in the physical nature of their ailment from the emotional and chakra regions are always able to heal themselves much more deeply. In that idea, in your voice concept, which you expressed to you, that even when you are expressing things that you believe to be hurtful to others, if it is truly in the alignment of your heart and not the ego portion of the human consciousness, feel free to express it without feeling that you're hurting others or yourself. That energy of free flow is always to the highest benefit of your nature.
That totally makes sense, and I think from a human perspective, because I am able to express myself, I thought, well, surely it couldn't be my throat chakra, but obviously it's the last layers of stuff that keep getting put there. So thank you for that, and I am finished with my questions, and if there's anything else that would be helpful for me or for my listeners at this time, this would be a wonderful time to end this. On your end.
Yes, first of all, for your own self personally, we wish to express to you that your own vibration has steadily expanded. In the last 6 years especially, your energy continues to break down those resistances that each human becomes conditioned to experience through their growing ages. And in that time period of other people's belief systems being pushed upon you, the energy, you are breaking free a great deal from that energy that you vibrationally learned. Your vibrational teaching is in accordance with let-go resistance also. So remind yourself in each moment where sharing your energy becomes a struggle, that it is well worth the energy of manifestations. Look into your belief systems about the definition of hardships, and this will give you a great deal of freedom when it comes to that idea. Now, as it pertains to all of those who are creating this moment, remind yourself that your experience upon the earth collective consciousness is yours and yours alone. When you co-create with those that are around you, you ask them to join into your own creation. Being connected, being intimate, and being from your heart with each and every other individual shows yourself that the version of that person you are creating is still a part of yourself, that working on a level of empathy above all others benefits you because you are connecting from your heart to your own energy. And by sharing your love and your wisdom with the rest of the created collective consciousness, you are only expanding more of yourself out into the ether. By doing this, all of you will get a much higher level of co-creation and a much higher level of satisfaction. And we thank you.
Thank you very much, Aridif. And I'll see you in July.
Yes, we will bid you adieu for this evening, and we will see you in your July time. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, how'd it go?
Welcome back, Rob. It went wonderful. Yeah, some of the answers that I needed personally, just confirmation, were there. I do have this issue with being able to eat and drink sometimes. I'll swallow like this gulp of air, and it will go into my stomach and push up against this flap that you have in the esophagus. And when I try to drink or eat something, it simply will not go down. And that's getting really
Gotta be rough.
to be a problem. First of all, I love food. Second of all, I need to stay hydrated, and sometimes I can't even drink water. But, I thought, well, it can't be the throat chakra because, look at me. Look at me. I'm able to talk, I'm able to share my truth. But it's on another layer. It's it's an emotional block in the throat chakra. So I'll be working on that as well. So.
It's weird. Almost every channeler I've ever met, that's where they're doing 90% of their work is in the throat chakra by channelings and having the consciousness take over. But almost every single one of them has some kind of energy in the throat chakra. Even me, myself, I've got something when it comes to, like for me and my fiance, Kalina, we're so giving for each other that sometimes when we get to the point where we can't give, we won't speak up and say, hey, I can't do this right now, you need to do it and I'll do this, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I see. It's very common, but and it's weird because this channeler is doing that. Just when I heard that from all these other channelers, it kind of blew my mind.
Yep. Well, that's what's going on with me. Yep. So,
well.
yeah. Well, and so if I put this, continue to put this part in the video, I just will say that of course this is not something that I would ask Aridif. Aridif, can you just take care of this for me? Can you just wipe this away from me? Of course he probably could, and I would, with the help of my higher self and my body, there would be a way that we could do that. But I think it's my challenge myself to heal that within myself and to change the behaviors around what's happening, because it could just come back. It's like healing cancer that can still come back if you don't change the behaviors around it. So I didn't even ask Aridif, and I'm going to work on this myself, and I think I know what it's tied to.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's Aridif and Treb tell everyone very similar to that. They say, well, heal this quickly. Well, you can heal it quickly. You can use your own higher self, our energy, whatever you want to do, bring it in to draw into your healing. But if you don't, that starting block, or the emotional chakra energy behind it, it will come back over and over again. And I've seen that happen to myself a million times too, try to do some healing or some meditation healing, and then I got to deal with it a month. So that's wonderful.
Okay, well, thank you so much for joining me, Rob.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited for July.
See you then.
See you then.